All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back for another awesome episode. We got three fun-filled topics we're going to talk about today. First, we're going to talk about YouTube workouts, exactly what to look for, because there's a lot of really good ones out there and there's a lot of shitty ones out there. So I'm going to help you guys pick out the best ones, so that way, whether you're going to be doing this in New Year's resolution time or want to get a head start and do this right now to put the extra calories to use from Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, and all that, you're going to be in a good spot by the time we're done talking about that. We're also going to be talking about moderation, like eating things in moderation. What the heck does it mean? Why is it so important? And why more people need to embrace this concept? And then last but not least is an awesome quote that I heard that I want to share with you guys and dive a little bit deeper into, because I think it's very, very important. So definitely stick around for that. Now, let's kick it off with the YouTube workouts. Actually, before we do that, if you guys are returning listeners, just make sure you're following and rating the show. Like, leaving a review helps me out a ton, so greatly appreciate it. And if you're new here, welcome. Don't worry about it just yet. Okay, just sit back and enjoy the show. Okay, YouTube workouts. So when it comes to these, it actually comes from a post that was in the Fit40 family Facebook group. If you're not a member already, go ahead and check it out. The link is down in the show notes, but we had one of our members asking, or basically posting a workout up and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. Does this look good? And I'm like, all right, so let's take a look. And I open it up and I see this woman who looks to be in her 40s or 50s in really, really good shape. And I'm like, okay, so this is how most of them start out. Let's see if there's any substance here. All right. And it proceeded to be this workout that looks solid. I mean, for the most part, if people were to do this, especially if you're beginners, you're going to see some pretty good results. The problem, though, is that these types of workouts are very short-lived as far as the benefits that you see, because due to certain limitations, your body will not continue to adapt because of the way that the program is set up. It's kind of like when we talk about these types of programs, it's kind of like gym class compared to competitive sports. So if you're new to exercising and strength training, you want to be in gym class. You don't necessarily want to join the varsity team right away. So if you want to feel it out and see what these movements are like and get a good feel for that, it's an awesome place to start. So that way you're exposed to it a little bit and you kind of get a feel for what it's all about, but you're not going hardcore. So if you want to do that for a few weeks or even the first few months, go right ahead. It's totally cool, but eventually you're going to have to level it up, because number one, there were a lot of combo exercises. And what I mean by that is basically combining different exercises with each other, where one you are way stronger on, and then the other one you are usually way weaker on. So one that stood out was a shoulder press into an overhead tricep extension. So if you're watching on YouTube, basically, woman had the dumbbell here, pressed it up over her head, and then when she was up at the top, she brought that dumbbell down to her shoulder while keeping her elbow high, and did a tricep extension, and then brought it right back down to start the whole movement over again. Now, what's the problem with an exercise like this? Number one, when you do a shoulder press, you are using multiple different muscles. Now, when you do a tricep extension, you're pretty much only using the tricep. Are you stabilizing with other muscles in your shoulder? Yes, but you're not using it throughout the entire exercise, and you're not fatiguing them in the exact same way. So for most people, they can shoulder press a lot more weight than they can do with a tricep extension. So you end up on one of these ends where the first end, people use weight that's way too heavy. So on the press, they're using heavy enough weight, but then they go to do the tricep extension and they do like a quarter of a rep or a half rep, or they just get into a really awkward position, and then it ends up either one, just not looking that great and not really getting them a whole lot of benefit, and two, potentially could even cause pain or possibly injury. And then on the flip side of that, let's say you went with a lighter weight that you could do the tricep extension with, great. But then when you're doing the shoulder press, you're not really getting anything out of that, because it's not stimulating the muscle to grow, to change, or for your body to respond in any sort of way, because it's like, it's easy. Why would your body change if you're not giving it a reason to? So that's why when you do exercises, it helps to break them up into individual exercises. So instead of doing a squat to a curl to a press, or in this case, a shoulder press to a tricep extension, break them up. So if this was the case for this particular one, do a shoulder press, do as many as you can, as heavy as you can, and then take a short break, switch to a lighter weight, and then do the tricep extensions. Okay, this is a very weird fist bump, or possibly something even weirder looking on the video, but you catch my drift. Break them up and max them out as best you can, because if you can milk those specific exercises for all that they're worth, you're going to get better results. Okay. The other thing too to take into account is a lot of these YouTube workouts don't really involve a lot of rest, or if they do, it's a very short amount, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, usually under a minute. And when you are pushing yourself to that point where you actually are pushing the weight as heavy as you can, enough to drive that stimulus to get your body to change, you are going to need a lot more rest. Otherwise, you're doing the entire workout feeling like you're giving 100%, but you're really half-assing it the entire way because you haven't rested enough in between sets, in between exercises to give your actual 100%. If you want to give this a try, just try on your next workout. Say, you know what? I usually go right through this, like bang, bang, bang. I'm just going to give myself 2 minutes between each, and then feel how much easier it is going to that next set. And that'll tell you right there that, hey, I haven't been doing this correctly. I can push more weight. I can do more repetitions, and I've been leaving results on the table. And then when you can make that transition, it could be game changing. You could literally see a night and day difference compared to months ago. And then the other thing too to take into account is that a lot of these people that are very in shape doing these exercises give off the impression that, hey, if you do these workouts, you can look just like me. When in reality, I know this is usually more on the guy side, like the jacked dudes are usually getting jacked doing the basics, like doing the bodybuilder style workouts, but then you see them doing these P90X commercials, or like any of these random pieces of equipment that you see them promoting, and you're just like, all right, anybody with half a brain knows that they didn't get jacked using that specific piece of at-home equipment or doing these style of workouts. And then with the ladies, more times than not, it's that they have the nutrition side of things dialed in, or possibly worse, maybe they do suffer with some sort of eating disorder or disordered eating that has allowed them to be in that shape, and then they just happen to be working out. So you're like, oh, this person's skinny because they do this exercise or this workout, when it's like, no, there's a lot of things that factor into how somebody looks, whether it's healthy, whether it's unhealthy, and you never really know, which is why you can never, ever go by somebody's appearance as their like business card, even though it's human nature to be like, oh, they look in shape, I'm going to listen to them. When somebody can look really in shape because they starve themselves and they work themselves out to death, and they have a horrible relationship with the gym and with food, and you wouldn't want that in a million years, but going to them for advice. So I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just saying that it is a thing that can potentially happen. So something to keep in mind when you're vetting sources for information that you want. You always want to be sure that, number one, it's going to serve you best. Number two, the person knows what they're talking about. So having some sort of credentials, or having people that have been through the program that'll tell you how good it is also a really big help. And number three is, like this member of the Fit 40 family did, like ask another expert. Like if you have somebody in your ecosystem who is a qualified personal trainer, who has multiple certifications, who has been doing this for years, and they give you the sign off, then it's like, it's probably a good idea. It's probably in your best interest. So that being said, if you guys ever have any questions or want to run one by me, I'm always happy to. So if you message me on Facebook or email me, whatever, always happy to help. And if you want workouts that are going to do the job for you, and you don't have to wonder, like, I wonder if this is any good, then just go to the Toned in 20 workouts. Now, those are like my starter workouts for you guys, so that you can do 20 minutes worth of quick at-home workouts and get a really, really good effect from them. And if you ever wanted to level it up and go to that next step, like with coaching or anything, you have a really good base, and you have a really good understanding of exactly what it should feel like and what it should actually get you as far as results are concerned, instead of just saying, oh, well, I sweat up a storm and I feel sore as hell, so it must have been a good workout. Okay, no. You get it. You actually understand what real progress feels like, not the showy, fake Hollywood, like, let's get everybody going, rah, rah. Don't care if you see results. I'm just going to put you through a workout and make you feel like you did something, even though you didn't. All right. Anyway, you can tell how I feel about this stuff, guys. But if you do, like I said, if you do want to start with those just because it looks fun, that's cool. Do it. and use it for as long as you can before a plateau. But when you do plateau, because inevitably it does happen, this is where you go for that next step. So that's all I have to say about that. Next is moderation. So eating in moderation is this vague term that people don't really understand. They get the gist of it like, yeah, I can have whatever I want as long as it's all in the right portions, as long as like I don't eat it all the time. But how does that actually look? Okay, so before we get into that, just know that this one comes off of the back of a pretty popular picture that's going around right now. I'm filming this, what are we at? November 18th. So it probably came out about 2 days ago of our new president, Donald Trump, posted a picture of him, RFK Jr., and a couple of other people on his cabinet eating McDonald's. And now the reason I bring this up is because RFK is very famous for demonizing seed oils, food dyes, pretty much everything that has ever gone into a Big Mac. This guy has gone out of his way to make it feel like, hey, if you eat this stuff, you're going to die. If you eat this stuff, it's the reason for X, Y, and Z disease. And here he is chomping away on 2 Big Macs and a full sugar Coke to add to that. All right. Now, what the heck does this have to do with eating in moderation? Well, this is proof right here that eating in moderation is a skill that needs to be learned, because if you've seen RFK, for example, dude's jacked. He's in amazing shape. Like, I would 100% love to get some tips from him as far as the gym, as far as like understanding what he actually eats rather than what he says he eats. Because in reality, he probably had this meal and then he went back to his normal routine the day right after. He just chalked it up as one of those things like, hey, the Prez wanted to celebrate. He got a big win and we had McDonald's. Oh, well, on to the next meal. And that's what more people need to do. Now, is he going to come out and say that? No, because his messaging is a little bit different and it goes against pretty much everything that he's been saying. But when we talk about these super restrictive diets that come from these camps of like anti-seed oil, anti-red dye, or just common stuff like cutting out all sugar or cutting out all carbs, just these really, really restrictive diets. What happens when we do this, like whenever we say, okay, I'm just going to cut all this stuff out, and you really hyper focus on the things that are going to be taken out, the things that you are no longer allowed to have. What ends up happening as a result of that is that we set ourselves up for what's called the binge-restrict cycle. So what happens is you say, I'm just not going to eat this thing. And as soon as you say that, you turn into the kid who just got told, no, you can't have the cookie. Anybody listening right now who has a kid who has asked before dinner, can I have a cookie? Or can I have this sweet? Or can I have these chips? And you say no. What is the first thing that you hear? Why? I want it. Come on. Like, basically, you just made it worse by saying no, because when we say no, there's that immediate, like, human instinct to say, fuck that. Okay, sorry. I went a little quiet there just in case you guys are listening in the car with the kids. But you have that instinct in your head to say, screw that. No, I want that even more now. And what that is pretty much what we're doing when we say, I'm not going to eat this. I'm not going to eat that. And then what that does is it builds up, it builds up, it builds up. It's kind of like this pressure cooker just getting hotter and hotter and denser, and it's basically ready to blow. And eventually you do, which results in an all-out binge fest where people eat all the stuff that they shouldn't be eating. So instead of RFK right here having a couple of Big Macs and calling it a day, people will have a couple of Big Macs and some Ben & Jerry's and a bag of chips and all this stuff, and it'll last weeks or months or even years, because on top of what happened, there's the guilt, there's the shame, there's all this stuff that's also in the mix that results in these behaviors that don't serve you. And that's the key thing here, is the fact that we need to focus on what the effect is going to be on your behaviors, not what are you going to do for a couple of weeks because you heard something on social media and you're going to implement it. It's how does this look years from now? What is the actual result of this? And anybody who's struggling right now to lose weight that they've regained, you can understand this. And this comes from multiple different ways of restriction. People that, for example, hop on Optavia, the second they come off, they're like, oh my God, I haven't been able to eat normal food in forever, and they go crazy. And then they just fall off and they lose all their results. And it's like, well, were those hundreds of or even thousands of dollars worth it? No, because you're in a worse spot to start than when you started compared to right now. Okay, so what is that end goal? What is real success on a diet? That's what you want to really think about, because losing weight is not success. Keeping weight off is success. So you got to learn how to do it in moderation, because what that allows you to do is it allows you to live your life inside of these nutritional habits. Okay, instead of this perfect meal plan or this super strict way of framing your food, you say, okay, instead of that bullshit, we're going to toss that to the side. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to focus on a couple of things that I want to get in each meal. So for example, in the Fit 40 client or the Fit 40 program, what we do is we focus on PFC. Protein, fiber, color. So if you have a plate of food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you get some lean protein on there, if you're having carbs, just make sure that there's some fiber in them. And then you have some color on the plate, that is going to fill you up, and it's going to be way lower calorie than a lot of your other options otherwise would have been. So now you're satiated. Now you don't have as many cravings because your protein and fiber are high enough, and you can pretty much make that work in any situation that you're in for the most part. So if you're out to dinner, you can take a look at the menu and be like, all right, protein, fiber, color, good. All right, I'll get this. Okay. Or you can go to a buffet and say, okay, there's the chicken over there. That's my protein. Okay. There's some potatoes over there. That's got fiber in it. Cool. Bang. And then there's a salad. Boom. Okay. Awesome. And that's really the key here, is to learn those skills of, hey, I'm in a certain situation. I need to know what I'm going for. I need to know what to look for. And when I can do that over and over and over again, that's going to result in me keeping the weight off, because when you can do that, you are able to lose the weight initially because you can keep your calories in a good spot. And then when you're in a place where you want to keep it, then you can allow for a little bit of indulgence. You could have an extra snack here and there because it's only a couple hundred extra calories. It's not like you're so hungry from trying to stick to your diet foods all day, and now you're at your goal weight, so you don't really want to go any lower. So now, because you're eating all these diet foods, your hunger is through the roof and you're ready to binge your face off. And then that leads to just gaining all the weight back all over again. Instead of that, you feel pretty good. You feel pretty solid as far as your hunger goes, and you're ready to just be like, you know what? I'll have that like bite or two of the cake, or I'll just have a half of an appetizer with my husband, and I feel pretty good. Don't have to really sweat it. That's moderation. That's what the end goal should be, is to be able to live your life with the power to do what's necessary without feeling like you're on a diet or you're sticking to it super hardcore because you're wearing it like a badge of honor. That's all bullshit. Okay, let's live our lives in a way that we want to, in a way that's enjoyable, and in a way that you don't have to fear losing all of the results of your hard work. So that being said, it does take learning a lot of stuff, and it requires unlearning a lot of stuff, because we grew up with these toxic diet culture rules that pretty much made it seem like unless you are hurting yourself, unless you feel like garbage, unless you feel like you have to put somebody else down, then you didn't deserve what you worked your ass off for. And working your ass off in general, like making it feel like it's a job. Okay, it shouldn't be a job. It should literally just be, this is the basics of how I eat, and that's pretty much it. Okay, that's pretty much how I'm losing my words here, but that's pretty much how the top performers actually operate. For those of you that don't know, like for example, bodybuilders, if you were to interview some of the top people like Chris Bumstead, or back in the day, Ronnie Coleman, or even the ladies too, where you ask them, so what's your diet like? And they're not going to tell you, well, I eat this many grams of protein, this many grams of carbs, this many grams of fat. Some amateurs might do that, and even some high-level competitors might do that as well. But the champs, they're usually like, nah, I have this many ounces usually of this or that, and I have about this much of that. And yeah, that keeps me in a good spot more times than not. Or there was a good example of Joaquin Phoenix when he got ready for the Joker, where he said he became obsessed with food on the first go around because he had to lose so much weight, and it became his whole personality. And he's like, this is pretty lame, and I sound like such an asshole. And the second go around, he's like, yeah, this is just how I eat. I stick to this, and this, and I'm in a good spot. And that's the end goal. just to have it as part of your life, not your entire identity, not your entire life, not something that you pretty much throw everything else out for. It's just something that you do. And that's what moderation looks like and feels like. All right, now, last but not least, we have a quote. Okay, so this, fair warning, I am a bit of a video gamer, and I was playing the game Diablo 4. Now, before I lose you guys on this, okay, I was listening to it, and it's one of those kind of, I don't even know how to describe the game, but it's very profound, I guess, and it's got these epic scenes and all this stuff. But regardless of all that, I heard a really good quote, and when I was playing with my friend online, because it's kind of how I socialize, being away from all my friends in North Carolina, but the character said it, and I told my friend, I'm like, ooh, I'm 100% going to use that for the podcast. And he's like, oh my God. But here we are. So that quote was from one of the characters who was telling somebody that was refusing their help. He was trying to be that hand of support. He was trying to like lighten their load a little bit. And she's like, no, no, no. And he goes, refusing help is a sign of fear. It's not a sign of courage. And I think a lot of people need to understand that, because when people refuse help in real life, like whether that is with your fitness or nutrition, when it comes to actually getting some help for it, instead of just spinning your wheels and saying, no, I know everything I need to do, I just got to do it, but you don't actually end up doing it for weeks and months and possibly years, okay? That's a sign that your pride is the biggest issue. The fact that it's in your way, saying like, oh, if I can't do this myself, I don't deserve it. Or no, I should be able to do this. I should be able to. No, I can't. And that mental block is going to keep you stuck for years and years, and you're just not going to get anywhere. Okay. And it's also a little bit of fear of like, oh, if I don't do this myself, was it even worth it? Like, or if I ask for help, am I going to let them down? Like, there's a million different fears that go into that. It's like refusing help is not something to be proud of. It's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of saying, hey, I really can't bring myself to ask you for help. I just can't, because if I do that, then all these fears are going to be realized. My pride is going to take a hit. My ego is going to take a hit. And then that whole concept of doing it yourself and being self-made gets shattered, even though being self-made is a complete myth, and it's a really douchey way to discount everybody that's ever helped you indirectly or directly. So when it comes to all that stuff going on and refusing help, how long are you willing to do that? How long are you willing to say, no, I'll do this myself. No, I got this. No, it's fine. I'll be okay. I'll figure it out. How many years are going to go by and your situation is going to stay the exact same and you're going to get frustrated, or it's going to get even worse? And then you're going to be in a worse spot and you're going to feel even worse about the situation as a whole. And then what's going to happen then? Are we going to dive deeper and say, nope, but buckling down and saying, nope, I really don't need help. I just need the willpower. I really want it now because I've gotten so bad. And then another 5-10 years go by. Okay. A lot of people are stuck in this situation and it sucks. And it is part of being human. We have these fallacies. We have these false beliefs that guide us, these stories that we tell ourselves over and over and over again that keep us stuck, that are the reason that we can't live the life that we actually want to. But if we can get past that, if we can actually say, you know what? I'm full of shit. My thoughts are not always facts. My feelings are not always facts. Okay. I need to go by the data. And right now the data says I am going backwards or I am staying stuck. So something needs to change. Okay. Sorry, I'm banging my armchair over here. I'm getting passionate about this because it makes a difference. When you can get out of your own way, that's one of the biggest mental hurdles anybody can ever jump over and get to the point of where they actually realize their goals. It's huge. It's absolutely huge, but it's hard. I won't lie to you guys. It is very, very challenging. As somebody who does not like to ask for help, I get it. But if you can get past that, it could completely change your life. It could literally be the difference of decades of talking shit about yourself in the mirror, missing out on pictures, missing out on activities with the kids because you're too tired or your joints hurt or things like that, or being the mom that can run around and have fun, being the mom who is able to jump into pictures without a moment's hesitation and be like, I feel amazing about myself, or I feel super confident walking into the room at work and just knowing, hey, I feel like a total badass because I have everything in check. I feel good. My nutrition's on point. I'm exercising. I have a high value on myself. I feel freaking amazing. Okay, that is life-changing. And you can get to that point. It just comes down to getting out of your own way for a lot of people. And if you're at that point where you're ready to get out of your own way and you just want some help to get going where you need to go, you're in luck because there's actually a Black Friday deal that I am going to be putting out there come next week. So from November 25th to 29th, I'm going to be running a 25% off Black Friday special on Fit 40 coaching. So if you've been listening to this podcast and you've been feeling fired up every single week and you're doing the things, but you're just not seeing the results that you want to see, or it's not happening fast enough, or you need that accountability and support, you really just need somebody on your team, that's what coaching is for. So just be sure to get an application in from you could actually send it in now, and as long as we have our call next week, then you'll be A-okay. But if you get your application in from the 25th through the 29th, then I will count that even if we have our call afterwards. So for you podcast listeners, I'm actually just going to start the deal right now. So get your application in ASAP if you need the help, if you really want to make a change, and don't give yourself a chance to procrastinate. Put it in right now. It takes 5 minutes. And then you and me will hop on a call. We'll figure out your game plan to start seeing success and how to get out of your own way and get you on the path towards feeling absolutely amazing. So if you have any questions on that, email me, Facebook message me. Oh, again, always happy to help. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys want the full-on details of that and you want to be in the next upcoming December challenge, also be sure to join the Fit 40 family if you're not already in it. The link is down below. Give it a click, get your butt in there, and I will see you in there. Otherwise, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you same time, same place. Well, this is Wednesday, so I'll see you Friday. There's going to be a bonus third episode this week, so I will see you then. Catch you later.